Okay guys, just wanted to give you a little update on what I have going on and why videos are still delayed and sometimes 3 or 4 weeks. I'm still struggling with internet. We have been having a really hard time with internet. I'm not going to say the company, but there was a company that we have gotten internet now since we moved here, so about a year and a half. And they've worked really well. They work through a local phone tower, and they've always treated us decently good. It's a little bit more expensive, but I have unlimited internet. Well, back at the end of October, they did a SIM card update, and with that update, there was issues, and it throttled everybody down to an internet speed that was just about unusable. What that means for me is that I can't upload, I also can't download. We can't use our internet at all. We'll get random days like this week we've gotten 3 days where our internet has worked, but we'll have weeks where it might work one day, it might work 4 hours, and then we're out again. I've had people ask me, well, why don't you just get new internet? It's not so simple in our area. We have a couple options. We have HughesNet, we have Viasat or Viasat, whatever that is. I try to stay away from those two. Satellite internet companies aren't the greatest. If you use a little bit of internet here and there, they're probably fine, but the cost of them is ridiculous for what you get. If I'm doing uploading or anything like that, that's just going to burn up that data, and it's going to take a while to upload stuff. This, what I have here, I at least get decent upload speeds. Most of the videos you guys see, I can upload in an hour or two. The other option we have is Frontier. Now Frontier is DSL out here, but it's very slow DSL. It's 0.75 down or 0.25 up. As a last option, I guess that would work, but a lot of people out here complain about it very much. And for the cost of it too, I think it's like 40 or 50 bucks a month. It's outrageous to think to pay that for that slow speeds in the era that we are now. So we've been holding out for 4 months, waiting for our internet company to work out the deal. I think that there's more going on behind the scenes. I think there's a big contract dispute with the people's tower, the phone company's tower that they use. So going beyond that, what are my plans for this? Well, we're holding out for Elon Musk, his new satellite, Starlink. And we pre-ordered for that, and we're waiting. Hopefully by this summer we'll have it. I'm hoping sooner than later. They seem to be moving pretty good at that, on that project. I know that that's still satellite internet, but that's a little bit different than HughesNet or Viasat. It's low orbit satellites, unlimited at the moment. We'll see how it goes later, but for the most part it's a better option, and it's really the only other option we have out here. So that's why these videos have been delayed. I haven't really been putting up a lot. I have content ready. Well, it needs edited, but it's ready to go. So I have about 5 videos worth. Once I get stable internet out here to be able to use, my channel will be more consistent. Right now when I edit, I use my old laptop mostly, and it works okay, but it just can't handle the editing software. So it's very slow, very laggy, and editing the video takes about twice as long. If I do it here in my office on my gaming computer, it's simple, it doesn't lag. I can do it in about half the time because I don't have to try to let things buffer and load. Processing the videos and stuff is so much quicker because I have the available RAM and everything like that to do it. So once we get in a better place for internet, this channel will become more consistent. I feel bad right now because it's not consistent, but we're slowly getting there. Two, I've had this happen now. I don't want to be rude to people. I've had people that watch me now try to add me on Facebook. I don't know how they figured out who I was. I'm not really gonna do that. I'm trying to keep my personal life separate from my YouTube life, and I know that you can only walk that fine line so much, But as of right now, I don't want to add anybody that I don't know personally on my Facebook. That's why I made an Instagram. You know, people can interact with me through YouTube, and they can interact with me through Instagram. Now that Instagram's not up and going fully yet, but the page is there, and I do post to it here and there. Nobody's really there to see it at the moment. But that's why I did that, and I went out of the way to do that. Plus, I'm not on Facebook a lot anymore anyway. I mostly use it for Marketplace and things like that. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I've got about 5 videos worth of content filmed. I'm still it's February 19th right now. I still have content I'm editing from over Christmas. So that tells you how far behind I am. And I'm taking some of those videos, even those, and I'm cutting stuff, I'm cramming them together more so that it's a more quick transition through that, because a lot of that's just barn work and different things that I'm working on. So I thank you guys for bearing with me. I want to get to more interesting stuff. I keep saying that in every video, and I do have more things filmed that are like that. I just haven't gotten them up yet. I'm trying to get everything up in order, but now I think the order is going to start shuffling around a little bit to accommodate what I've filmed, some of the interesting stuff, to kind of break up the monotony. Like the air compressor video was filmed very recently, and then it was put out, where other videos had been filmed a month before that, and they're just coming out. Like this one's was filmed, I think, before Christmas, and it's just coming out now. So I do thank you guys for bearing with me. It'll get better. We're slowly working on it, and yeah, just enjoy today's episode. Okay, so we're back out here and it's the morning. Today I'm going to focus on getting the panel put in on the wall over here. But first, I want to take and get that piece of plywood up over top of the door. I'm losing a lot of heat there, and this whole soffit vent area, I don't need a soffit vent because I don't have a ridge vent. So I'm going to seal all that up on this side and maybe on this side. This side's sealed. I got aluminum soffit here, but that side goes to the lean-to, and eventually I want that open to help distribute heat better when that gets sealed over there. So I've got some 2-inch foam, and I'm going to take and cut it and put it in each one of those gaps so it's removable later, but that'll help me with my heating quite a bit. And then getting that piece of plywood up there will not only help me with my heating, but then I can take the slider door off the front of the barn. Onto this heater here. I think I expected more out of the heater than what I should have. It's not like one of your little propane heaters you hook up to the propane tank and it just blows a hot air and fire and stuff like that. This is a better heater for a barn that's insulated. It would heat a barn just fine, but it's only bringing air through there and heating it up about 50 or 60 degrees. So the warmer the ambient air is, the hotter the output will be on that furnace. So I need to focus on wiring and insulation so I can get this place warmer and conserve more heat, because that running all the time is going to tear through a lot of propane. Okay, so for the record, before I seal off that opening there and all these, it is about 55 degrees in here, which is roughly 13 degrees Celsius, 12-13 degrees. I do notice going to the outside of that opening there and all these, if I put my hand in front of them, I can feel hot air coming out. So I'm losing a lot of air through there. Okay, there's a little voice commentary I want to add to this part. One, I do notice I'm having audio issues in my right ear while editing. I don't know if it's coming across on YouTube, but this was on my old camera, and it was the factory mic in the camera. since I have my GoPro now, my audio quality has gotten better, so that popping and crackling and the rippling sound in your right ear should go away totally once I transition everything over completely to GoPro footage. The second thing here is you'll see when I get to the end of the board, I have a kickback issue because the board starts to fall and pinch the blade. What I should have done, and I have been doing since I filmed this, is I lay 2x4s across the table and then I set my blade depth just under the bottom of the plywood so that when I cut, I don't cut into my 2x4s, and that way when I cut through, it actually holds the wood up instead of, you can see right here, it's starting to fall, and then when I get into the dark part, it's going to bind right there and try to kick back on me. I just want to go over with you the importance of sealing up your air gap. So I just sealed that up, and I did the math on it, and if my math's correct, which don't go by Junior's math because it's shady at best, but that was 5.6 square feet. That alone over there, sealing that up, just raised my temperature by 5 degrees. It's now 60 in here. I'm warm enough now for me to take off my jacket and roll up my sleeves. So this, I guarantee this will get me up to 65 or 70. This is what I'm going for right here. I'm just temporarily taking pieces of foam and I'm going to wedge them in there. Okay, so I got all my soffit sealed up on this side. It's not perfect, but it's significantly better, along with above the door sealed. And now I'm at about 65, 67, somewhere in there. I know I'm pulling cold air from there still, and up here I'm losing some, but I'm losing as much up there now as I'm losing in the walls here. So I've still got air gaps. I've got that one there, which I'm gonna have to figure out a temporary solution for that. And I got a lot of cold air coming in down here yet in the foundation. So I need to get the foundation plugged. That'll be later. Right now I'm happy that I have the heater to a point now. It will shut off sometimes, and that's good enough for me. Okay, so we took a little time away from the wiring project today. We're gonna go pick up another project for the channel. I'll show you guys what it is when we get there. Well, here it is, guys. I acquired another thing for the Empire Junk. It's an old, really old radio. I don't know much about it. Picked it up for 75 bucks at the Habitat Restore. You know, seen it the other day, and I had to have it. So they said it works, but it does not connect. So it'll be one of those things where I tinker with it. If you want to see it on the channel, we'll work on it on the channel. And everything seems to work. It's just really old. So we'll check it out more when we get it home. That radio is a Philco 41-290. It was built in 1941. It was like $85 or $90 a unit. It was one of their better built radios of the time. It was known as the skyscraper model because it sits so tall. That will be in a later episode. I do want to rebuild that radio. The case is in really good shape. All it needs is a few electronics fixed. I think there's a broken tube or something in it and a couple items for it, but everything else seems to work. Okay, so as you've seen, I unboxed the breaker panel. I'm measuring it to get it ready to be put in the wall over here. My studs aren't spaced 16 on center. These are like, I don't know, 20 on center. Yeah, these are 20 on center. And that kind of screwed me up. This breaker panel here is meant for 16 on center. So what I'm doing, I ripped two 2x4s, put them in there. I'm still 1.25 inches short. So I have this piece of 2x4 left from that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this and I'm going to run it through the planer, plane 1/4 inch off of it. That way we have a nice snug fit for our panel over there. Okay, I've got the panel in. It was a nice and tight fit here. I juniored it. I totally forgot I didn't need 4 pieces. I just needed 1, so I had cut it, but it's okay. There's room for insulation here. We have 4 screws. I should probably get something better than that, but that'll work for right now. That's a code word for it. It'll be that way forever. Now I got to figure out how to bring this line up. I'll probably come up, over, and down. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do this. Okay, so I got my wire in. I ran it up and back down. I didn't want to run it too far down here. It would just be a tighter bend. This stuff's not really easy to bend. I'm gonna have to bend it, not on this one, but in the house coming down the side of the panel. I'm gonna have to bend it tighter so it gets to the breaker. But what I'm gonna do, what I did here, and I'm not recommending this for anybody, do your own research for what your codes in your area are. I do know that when you run wiring through a stud, they want you to do it in the middle so you don't hit it from either side. So that's what I did there. I put a piece of wood here to space this away from the wall. And then for additional security, I've got these 2 rusted steel plates that are good for nothing. I'm going to clean them up and cut them so that I can put them over this so nobody can nail through that. And then I have enough gap back here that I can slide them, I'll wedge them behind so that either side, if somebody comes in the future, let's say I don't live here in 20 years, someone comes into the future and says I want to put a hook there, which they shouldn't anyway because there's a panel there, but if they do, they won't be able to put it into that stud and potentially clip one of these wires. Okay, I got the panel wired up almost. I gotta take care of the ground yet. I almost forgot about the ground. But these are all the breakers I got. Apparently, well, you still can't get them. Menards had 4 15 amp breakers left, and that was it out of everything. I don't think they had any 20 amps. I think they had 1 30 amp, and then everything else was 2-pole breakers. So I got what I got, which is going to be enough for me now. I'll be able to lights and furnace, plugs, and the plugs are going to be split up. I'm not sure how yet, but I'm sure I'll do the plugs on this wall. Another circle will be plugs on this wall. There will be a receptacle back there. Will be a 20 amp, which I have for the welder, and then probably plugs on this wall will be all 1. These lights here will eventually get wired in. These are for the lean-to. Those might go on the same circuit as the lights in the furnace, because the furnace doesn't draw much at all. I think it's only like 3 amps it draws, and these LEDs don't draw much. But again, like I said, I'm still trying to plan out my circuits and how I want to do them. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term, there's an elephant in the room. If you are, that's good. If you're not, I'll explain it to you. It's something substantially large that you're trying to ignore that is almost impossible. I'm sure there's a better definition than that, but I'm not going to look it up. This is my elephant in the room, is this old Fram oil change station. The previous owner took roofing nails, put it in. I've tried to take it off now, but it's not a steel sign, it's like a particle board sign, so I don't want to ruin it. Well, I'm to the point that I have to get it off the wall without destroying it. Well, that was not what I was hoping for. I was hoping it would... Well, it's not as bad as it could be. Well, I guess with the little damage as possible, I was able to get it. I marked up the letters a little bit. But it could have been worse. It's already got holes in it, so it's not a perfect piece anyway. But it's down now, so makes me feel a little better. Okay, I'm going to try to explain the circuitry as I go along. I still don't have it all planned out yet, but I'm getting it planned as I go. So this 15 amp, I'm going to come out of the box, up, over, down, right to here. I'm going to have a box here. I think it's going to be a 2-gang box, so I'm going to have 2 switches. One switch will go to the outside. I want to put a light out there. The other switch will go to the lights. The other switch is going to go to an LED light outside, and then before we connect the switches, we're going to take a line and run it out, over, and this will be a switch, I'm thinking, with a light on it, or a switch with a plug so I can turn it on and off for the heater. And that'll be circuit 1. Second circuit is going to come up and over and then down. And then I'm going to curve it here, and it's going to be plug, plug, plug. And then maybe a plug in the corner. I'm not sure yet. And then for circuit number 2, this one, it's going to follow the same path all the way around. And it's going to do 3 plugs on the back. 4th plug will be its own circuit. It'll be 20 amp. It'll be I don't know why I gotta show you. It'll be a 20 amp, and that will run, you know, it's the furthest it could run. The most expensive wire is the furthest. It's not going to be the most expensive wire in this barn, but that'll run all the way to the corner, and that's where the welder will be. I've said all this before. Next breaker will be 15 amp, running up, over, and I'll do some plugs. I'll do a set of plugs, and I don't know how I'm going to run my wire yet. I should just be able to run it up, over, and down, because that's all going to be heated on that side as well. I can just run it up there, down, and then do 2 more plugs. I might only do 1 plug over here because this is not useful here because of the door, so I'm probably just going to hang stuff there. And then I want to figure out a way to do a plug down here below the breaker box just to have it there. I might scratch that idea. Actually, better idea. I'm going to, that circuit that runs along that wall is going to have a plug up there, and I'm going to have one of the extension cords on a reel. Okay, I want to give you guys an idea kind of what I did over there, pulling the line up, and then we ran it underneath the planking over on the wall over here, and then through here. It's very dark, but I'll show you. I had to crawl all the way to that other end, and when I was crawling through there, my belt was hooking on the rafters, so I could barely crawl. So I didn't want to risk bringing an expensive camera up here, but I had to go all the way back there to that back corner. And while I was doing it, I ran 2 lines, and there's an antenna line somewhere in here for our internet, and that way it's not dragging on the floor anymore and through the living room. It's actually going halfway down and then dropping through the ceiling. Alright guys, so we got the power hooked up. I didn't really film much of it. It would have been too much of a hassle to film, but I will give you a rundown of what I did. So I got the breaker hooked up right here with the lines. You know, obviously I got the neutral there, and then I got the ground right there. I ran these 2 with it. These will be for the garage. I have a 15 amp and a 20 amp. I know that you don't have to use 12.2 for 15 amp and 10.2 for 20. I do that in case I ever want to upsize. I know I could have gotten away with 14.2, but it's just nice to have it. That's how I do all my wiring. I always give room for upsizing later. Alright, let's go out to the barn and just check it with the multimeter. I've got really nothing to show, but let's see if I can do this one-handed here. I got 119.7, 120 volts to my 15 amp circuit. I don't know how it works with voltage drop. That 0.3 might be voltage drop. I'm sure I could calculate that. But so there we go. We now have power to the barn. I got to run wiring yet, but we are one step closer. The hard part is done. Anyways, that about wraps up this episode. If you guys enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.